case right now that will be argued tomorrow before the New Jersey Supreme Court called Abbott versus Burke, number 21. Now, let's start off with one principle. If the Supreme Court can't get it right after 20 tries, what the hell makes us think they'll get it right on number 21, okay? But tomorrow, what they're arguing is before the court that we should spend, the taxpayers of New Jersey, should spend an additional $1.6 billion on K-12 education, the majority of which would go to these 31 now they're former Abbott districts. And that would make the education system better. Now, we spent $25 billion in 09-10. How another $1.6 billion is going to be the final thing that tips it over? Kind of interesting. But just let me give you an idea of what Abbott has wrought in this state. In fiscal year 1988, those 31 Abbott districts got 36% of the state aid. So 31 districts got 36% of the state aid. And back then, that amounted to about $802 million to 31 districts. Fast forward now to fiscal year 11, the one that we're in now. The Abbott districts now get 59% of all the state aid. 59% of all the state aid to 31 districts. That now amounts to $4.5 billion to 31 districts from income taxes. All the other districts, another 550 or so, get the remaining 41%. All right? What's that amount to? The average state aid per pupil in the Abbott districts is $16,138 just in state aid per pupil. The average amount of state aid per pupil in the non-Abbott districts, which is the other 550 or so, $2,895. So 16,100 versus rounded 2,900. Now, if you could make the argument that if this had been a raging success and had pushed up the achievement level of children in those districts, maybe we might be willing to pay for it. But what you have is a 29% graduation rate in Newark, an Abbott district. What you have is Asbury Park at 33,000 per pupil, who have less than half their kids have 8th grade proficiency in math. And the Supreme Court's argument is money equals achievement. And we know that it doesn't. We know that it absolutely doesn't. And so we're going to be arguing tomorrow in the Supreme Court. And we lost in the lower court, by the way. The lower court said that I should be ordered to spend another $1.6 billion on your behalf. We're now before the Supreme Court tomorrow, and I don't know what's going to happen. But understand this. If the Supreme Court orders me and the state legislature to spend another $1.6 billion in school aid, first thing you need to know is I'm not raising taxes. I will not raise taxes to pay for this. So, that leaves only one alternative if you're going to spend the money, right? We have to get it from someplace else. Understand the kind of cuts that we're going to need to make. The entire aid to hospital program in New Jersey, charity care, hospital stabilization fund, and the aid we give for graduate medical education, training the doctors and nurses of tomorrow. The entire program is $950 million. Now, if I have to eliminate that program to pay for school aid, there will literally be any number of hospitals across New Jersey that will close. That will just close, because they will not be able to survive without that aid. Mayor Reyna is here. Municipal aid in New Jersey is $1.4 billion program. So even if I eliminated the entire municipal aid program, we'd still have to find another $200 million to pay this bill. And he'll tell you what would happen if I eliminated all of his municipal aid. There would be layoffs in this town of a monumental number if there's no municipal aid. I mean, the kind of things we'd have to do to pay this bill are mind-boggling. And we're paying for failure. We're paying for a failed legal theory come up with by a bunch of lawyers in black robes. Now, I'm a lawyer, and so I suffer from the same affliction. But the fact is that the idea that we're going to allow the New Jersey Supreme Court, who are elected by no one, and who in fact right now have a member who's going to be deciding this case because the Senate won't consider my nominee for the Supreme Court. We have a judge up there now who's not even a Supreme Court justice, who has been picked by the Chief Justice to come and sit and decide a case of this importance. And he could be the deciding vote in this case. Someone who was never appointed by a governor or confirmed by the New Jersey State Senate. Are we going to really allow them to order the governor and the state legislature to spend money? In essence, ordering us to either raise taxes on you or ordering us to cut spending in areas that your elected representatives have decided are the best way to spend money in New Jersey. I mean, this is going to be a very interesting couple of weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why when I ran in 2009, I told you that we have to change the Supreme Court. Because if we don't change the Supreme Court, they continue to take more and more power away from the people who you elect. And if you ran into one of these justices today at some deli in Jackson, and you said to them, well, what are you doing on that case? Why do you think this way? They said to you, well, we can't discuss it with you. Because we're judges, we can't discuss it with you. So people who can't even engage in a substantive discussion with you have their hands in your pocket trying to take your money. Now, I got to tell you, I think this has gone too far. And so when I refused to reappoint one of the Supreme Court justices last year and nominated a highly qualified woman, it has now been 11 months since I made that nomination, and the Senate has refused to have a hearing on her. Now, if we want to change Abbott, we have to change the Supreme Court. And we have to stand up for what we believe in as folks who've been elected to represent you. So I want you to pay close attention to the next few weeks. Pay close attention to what the Supreme Court does, and then pay close attention to what I'm going to do in response. Because it seems to me that the public needs to have a voice in what's going on here. And the fact that we have gone from 36% of overall state aid to 59% of overall state aid for 31 districts out of 580 some districts, and seen no real improvement in those children's futures, tells me that this is crazy and it's got to end. So I'm going to try to end it, and we've got a lot of work to do, but this week's an important week.